I love this question and I love this conversation. And so for me, how I teach this is I'm in the world, but I'm not of it. And yet I'm in the world. And so the reason why the horizontal represents me being in the world. And I really take it all the way to the crucifixion. So if you imagine a cross, if you will, the horizontal axis can represent perhaps to the left, the past, to the right, the future. And that in the egoic human mind, we're always projecting from the past into the future. Sometimes we're totally skipping the now, right? And so on this horizontal axis is that. The vertical axis is the divine. And when we go into the Christ mind, we're going vertical. We're not going horizontal. But that intersection could symbolically be placed right at the center of our being in this experience, the access point, the portal, if you will, which is the heart, which is love. And so the altar then becomes that heart space. And what we place upon the altar, so in the way Jesus talks about in the way of the heart, and in many other texts, but that love is what transforms all things. So love embraces all things. So I say that we're not a teaching of avoidance. Love embraces all things. Love heals all things. So when we bring it into love, all those things we place upon the altar, love transforms, transmutes all things, heals all things, and thereby transcends them, so that we have that potentiality of going vertical. So I'm in the world, I'm not of it, I can do this vertical, I can rise above the battlefield of the dream. I can rise above the dream. I'm not going to solve anything at the level of the dream. And so we have these, I'm pointing to my altar here. I have this outer altar, which is simply an outer representation of the inner. Sanctuary is the same thing. So we enter into the sanctuary of the soul, and at the center of the sanctuary of the soul is the altar. And we place upon the altar our offerings. Now, the way that I say this is that I offer all of it. I offer all of myself. So I'm going to put on my altar everything, because I'm going to trust that love will transform and transmute, qualify and integrate the aspects of myself that I'm going to say might feel unloving or egoic. A Course in Miracles says that the only offering you can really bring is love. That's what we place upon the altar. But I trust that as I place everything upon the altar, everything gets transmuted into love. It's an alchemization into love. So that's how I teach that. And that everything that is unlike love is not real. So the beginning of A Course in Miracles is the only thing that is real is love. Everything unreal does not exist. Herein lies the peace of God, is that nothing unreal truly is a thing. And does that kind of clarify? So when I go to Easter, I'm going to go to Easter and really, there we are on the cross. And one of the things, like in what's happened with me, catapulted out of a church twice, right? And when I went home to Toledo, one of my friends who happened to meet me in the woods at Wildwood Park, where I used to walk when I lived in Toledo. See, what I realized is I've always done Caminos. I've always walked it out. I've been a walker. And but he said to me, I think ministers have this Jesus complex, but the Jesus complex only to the point of the crucifixion. Because it's the idea, and the crucifixion is just simply the projection of people onto Jesus or onto whomever. It's a projection, a lesson of projection. And, my ministry now is yes, I'm in the lineage of Christ, which is about the ascension piece. So I'm done with those crucifixions. And really the world needs this. This isn't just Claudia. This is, let's be done with the crucifixion story. Let's understand what it was. It was a representation of the lesson that we're all just projecting. Think of projectile vomit. We're all projecting onto one another. And it is our pathway home. It's not a pathway of avoidance. It's a pathway of offering it all upon the altar, bringing it all home, owning our stuff, and then doing the vertical. So our story is about ascension. But here's the deal. I'm in the world. I'm not of the world, and yet I'm in the world. So the next part of the story is ascending, but then it's also descending back to be as Christ in the world.